That was the first thing Karen ever said to me, well, yelled at me, before I even finished moving into my new ranch. I remember standing there, holding a box marked kitchen, wondering how in the world someone could be this furious about a property that wasn't even inside her HOA. But that was the beginning. And trust me, things only got crazier from there. I bought the ranch because I was tired of HOAs dictating what color mulch I could use, tired of Karen-like neighbors measuring grass with rulers, tired of living in a neighborhood where privacy was treated like a crime. So I sold my old house and bought 40 acres of peace, quiet, and nothing but sky. Or so I thought. The HOA subdivision next door was a half-mile down the road, and somehow, that was enough for their self-appointed queen, Karen, to treat my land as her next kingdom to conquer. The first time she marched onto my property, I thought she was lost. The second time, I realized she wasn't. The third time, well, that's when the real war began. It started with her walking straight into my yard while I was unloading hay bales. No knocking, no permission, just strutting across the pasture like she owned it. "You can't put that there," she snapped, pointing at the hay as if it offended her personally. I blinked. Why not? Because it ruins the neighborhood aesthetic. I looked around. Miles of open land, cows grazing, a rusty old mailbox leaning sideways. There was no neighborhood aesthetic. "Ma'am," I said carefully, "this isn't HOA property." She scowled. "It's adjacent to our HOA, and that means what you do affects us. The board and I have discussed it." "The board," I repeated, "discussed my ranch." "Yes," she said, crossing her arms. "And we've agreed you need to submit an exterior modification form if you're going to store that." She waved vaguely at everything, out in the open. I laughed. I couldn't help it. It was such an absurd demand that my body reacted before my brain did. Her eyes widened like I'd slapped her. "You think this is funny?" "Well," I said, still smiling, "yeah. Because it is." She spun around and stormed off across my pasture, yelling over her shoulder, "Don't think this is over." Spoiler. It definitely wasn't over. The next week, things escalated fast. At dawn, I found her standing at the edge of my property holding a clipboard, snapping photos of my barn like she was collecting evidence for a trial. The following day, she parked her Lexus in the middle of my driveway, blocking me in, and claimed she was performing an inspection. Then HOA letters started appearing in my mailbox, even though the HOA had no jurisdiction over my land. Demand letters, warning notices, threats of fines that had absolutely no legal power. My personal favorite was, "Failure to comply will result in escalating penalties, including but not limited to community-wide shaming." Imagine thinking that scares a rancher. Each letter I ignored made Karen more furious. Each time she stomped across the boundary line yelling about rules, I reminded her she had no authority here. And each reminder made her tremble like a teakettle about to explode. But the final straw wasn't just annoying, it was dangerous. One afternoon, I was out checking fence lines when I heard tires crunching on gravel. Fast, too fast. I turned just in time to see Karen's SUV speed down my driveway and skid to a stop inches from where I stood. She jumped out, face red, hair flying, waving a stack of papers like a flag of war. "I told you," she shrieked. "The HOA has voted. You are in violation of our community standards." "Karen," I said calmly, "this isn't your community. This is private land, my land." She jabbed a finger at the papers. "According to HOA Ordinance 14B, the visual perimeter of our community extends outward by." "Karen," I cut in, "no." Her voice trembled with rage. "Then I'll just have to take this further." I leaned against the fence. "You do that." And oh, she did. She escalated from trespassing to harassment. She sent drones over my property. She called animal control claiming my cows were too loud. She even tried to get county code enforcement involved, but they already knew her and basically told her to stop wasting their time. She was spiraling, and I was done playing. So I came up with a plan, simple, smart, devastating. A gate, not just any gate, a gate Karen couldn't open. My driveway wasn't fenced at that point, so Karen felt entitled to use it like her personal pathway to come yell at me. So I hired a local crew to install a massive steel ranch gate, 10 feet tall, reinforced, with a keypad entry and an automatic locking system. It looked like something guarding a billionaire's bunker, and that was exactly the point. The first morning after it was installed, I woke to the sound of metal clanging. I peeked out the window. There she was. Karen was standing at the gate, rattling it like a velociraptor testing the perimeter fence. I grabbed my coffee, walked out to the porch, and called, "Can I help you?" Her head snapped toward me. "Open this gate." "No," I replied, "I have a right to enter." "No," I repeated calmly. "You don't." She punched random numbers on the keypad like she could brute force her way in. When that didn't work, she pressed her face between the bars. "This is illegal," she screeched. "It's my property," I said. "It's perfectly legal." She stomped her foot. "I'm calling the HOA." "Do that." "I'm calling the police." "Do that too." She did both. The HOA told her they had no authority over the gate. The sheriff told her to stop trespassing and warned her she'd be arrested if she set foot past the property line again. She cried. Actually cried. Right there on the gravel, mascara running down her face like black tears of defeat. Then she screamed loud enough to scare the crows out of the trees. You haven't heard the last of this. But in fact, I had. Because after that gate went up, she never attempted to enter again. She tried glare driving past the entrance. She tried sending more letters. She filed complaints no one took seriously. But the power she thought she had evaporated the moment that steel barrier rose between her kingdom and my peace. The gate wasn't just metal, it was a boundary she couldn't cross, a final statement that her control ended where my land began. And every time I walked through it, keyed in my code, and heard the lock click shut behind me, it felt like reclaiming my life. Karen lost, and she knew it.